welcome you guys into a brand new episode of Time to Football. It is Hump Day, Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, of Week 3 of the 2021 NFL season. Glad you guys are joining us for this Wednesday morning, waking up, whether you guys live on the East Coast, sleeping until 10 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. What's wrong with you guys? Or if you're just waking up here on the Pacific Coast as well, 7 a.m. Glad you guys are joining us. My name is Hassan Khan, the host of the show that we like to call it Time2Football. Like we do every Wednesday, what we do on this show is we give our updated power rankings. Hey, we like to give rankings so that you guys can debate on whether you agree or disagree with these rankings. Because we all know that everyone that gives power rankings is 100% correct. Even these power rankings that I'm giving to you guys today, there's going to be no sort of animosity or anger towards the rankings. Everybody's going to agree with them because that's how power rankings work. But it's a good opportunity for you guys to discuss to see who the best team in the NFL is going into Week 3. That is kicking off tomorrow between the Panthers and the Texans. We're also going to be talking about the Indianapolis Colts. They took a big drop in our power rankings, and we're going to be talking about them and talk about their outlook for the rest of the season. Are they in a tough spot? Can they turn their season around? We'll be discussing that, as well as giving you guys our Hungriest Player of the Week, like we do every single week. Throughout the duration of the show, feel free to chime in, join us in the live chat, and ask any sort of questions that you may have that we're going to have a dedicated segment towards the end of the show that we're going to be answering these fantasy football questions that you guys leave in the comments. We've been getting some great responses Tuesday, which is when we release our fantasy football videos. But we are going to go ahead and kick off this week's show with the most prestigious award on this show. I'm talking about, we've done this since 2013, since the dawn of Time to Football, the first season of Time to Football. And then, there's been other outlets out there that try to steal our name, our moniker, our award. I know the Checkdown, the NFL's Instagram account, they did the Hungriest Player of the Week award for about 2 years. And then I kept on commenting. You guys kept on commenting, listen, this is Time to Football's award. I don't know whether they saw those comments or not, but they stopped doing it. So I like to say that's a moral victory for me. We have the Hungriest Player of the Week award on this show. So without the most oversaid saying in YouTube history, it has to be without further ado. With all of that said, the dumbest, what does ado mean? Does anyone know what the word ado means? If you know what it means, let us know the definition in the chat, because I have no idea. People just say it, and nobody knows what it means. I try to say with all that said, instead of without further ado. The dumbest phrase in the history of all phrases. But, without further ado, let's go ahead and give you our Week 2 Hungriest Player of the Week. Hungriest Player of the Week, the one that wanted it the most. This award doesn't go to the player with the best stats. It doesn't go to the player that has the most amount of yards, most amount of touchdowns. It goes to the player that was in a position where, hey, not a lot of people know about this guy, but they proved with their performance this past Sunday, Monday, Thursday, whatever, that they are worthy of being the Hungriest Player of the Week, the one that wanted it the most. I think there's only one guy that I can really focus in on. That has to be Mike Edwards of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Is our Week 2 Hungriest Player of the Week. 4 tackles, 2 interceptions, and both interceptions returned for a touchdown against the Atlanta Falcons. He actually becomes the 10th player in NFL history with 2 pick sixes in the same quarter. NFL history. In the history 80, 90, 100 years, however long the NFL's been around. The only player, or 10th player, to do it in one quarter, twice. Mike Edwards sealed that game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was pretty much sealed when it was marked down on the schedule because the Falcons aren't that good. But Mike Edwards put the dagger in the game and the nail in the coffin and said, hey, I am worthy of being the hungriest player. I'm the one that wanted it the most, and I proved it by being a young player, a safety that's up and coming. I already won a Super Bowl, and I'm going to go ahead and lead the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to a victory by a huge margin of 20-plus points against the Atlanta Falcons, and that is why Mike Edwards is our Week 2 Hungriest Player of the Week. So now what we're going to get into is our power rankings for the 2021 NFL season heading into Week 3. So we do these power rankings every week. We post them on social media. We get a lot of feedback. We say, oh, this player should not be as ranked that high. This player should not be, or this team should not be as ranked that low. You guys like to give a lot of feedback on that. So let me go ahead and give you our power rankings. And what we do is we show the first 8. We show 8 at a time. So we'll actually show 25 through 32. Then we'll move up 17 through 24. Move on up 9 through 16, et cetera, et cetera. So let's go ahead and show you our power rankings for Week 3. And starting off with the 25 through 32 slots, Eagles, Falcons, Bengals, Giants, Texans, Lions, Jets, Jaguars. That is 25 through 32. Biggest takeaways from this, we've got the Eagles dropping down inside of the bottom 8 because of that loss against the San Francisco 49ers. I still think that they're better than a top 25 team, or at least at the bottom of the 25 list, but I think that they can move up throughout the season. The Falcons, I wanted to put the Bengals ahead of the Falcons, but the fact that the Bengals lost, I could only move them up one spot. You might be like, well, why are the Bengals moving up? Why are the Texans and the Lions moving up if they lost? And it's because of the margin of victory and how they looked in those games. The Texans are proving that they can play spoiler this year in this NFL season, while the Lions, same thing. This offense is decent. It's not the greatest offense in the world, but it's better than what people thought. So that's why I moved them up a spot. And then the Jets, I had to move them down just because they are not having the greatest season in the world. Let's just say that. Moving on to the next 8. We've got 17 through 24. And looking at this, the Chargers dropped 6 spots. I'm going to explain that in just a sec. But 17 Chargers, 18 Dolphins, 19 Panthers, 20 Broncos, 21 Washington, 22 Colts, 23 Bears, and 24 Vikings. Okay, so why did the Chargers just drop 6 spots? I mean, they only lost by a field goal. I understand. And it's not because the Chargers, I think, are worthy of dropping that much. It's because there are other teams out there that won and are just jumping up over the Chargers. I actually had the Chargers ranked at number 11, number 12. And I figured, okay, well, after week 2, that might be just a little bit too high. So don't pay too much attention to the dropping 6 spots, but rather look at the number 17 spots. That's where we've got the Chargers at right now. The Dolphins, they look like they're in trouble with that Tua Tagovailoa. Even with Tua Tagovailoa, they look like they were in trouble on offense. And then the biggest jump in our power rankings this week, the Carolina Panthers, 2-0. This defense looks amazing. And they got a great matchup against the Houston Texans coming up on Thursday Night Football. So we're going to be talking about the Colts later on as well, but they dropped 3 spots. But that's pretty much the biggest things to really note in the power rankings for that 17 through 24 spot. All right, moving on to 9 through 16. What have we got right here? Well, we've got the Cleveland Browns at number 9. They stay at that spot after that victory against the Houston Texans. The Arizona Cardinals moving up 2 spots. The Titans moving up 2 spots as well. The Saints dropping a couple spots. Raiders, they continue to impress everyone. Moving on up at number 13. 49ers at 14. Patriots at 15. And then the Dallas Cowboys at 16. All right, so the Cardinals move up inside of the top 10. The Titans move up after that last-minute victory against the Seattle Seahawks. The Saints are dropping just because they continue to confuse us. Are they good? Are they not good? Let's put them at number 12 right now, not drop them outside of the top 12. But the Raiders, just like the Carolina Panthers, one of the biggest jumps up so far because of the 2-0 start that they had and the level of talent that they beat with the Steelers and the Ravens that you're going to see are 2 top 8 teams that we have. The Patriots stay still, 49ers move up, and the Cowboys move up a spot after that victory against the Chargers. So now we get to the top dogs. What do we've got? We've got 1 through 8. Who's ranked 1 through 8? Let's actually read from number 8 up to number 1 so you guys can see. All right, number 8, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 7, Seattle Seahawks. 6, Green Bay Packers. 5, Buffalo Bills. 4, Kansas City Chiefs. 3, Baltimore Ravens. 2, Los Angeles Rams. And number 1, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Biggest biggest jump inside of the top 8, the Baltimore Ravens dethroning the Kansas City Chiefs. I know it was just by 1 point. I get it. But if you beat a team, you prove that you can either compete with the team or you're better than the team. So I went ahead and put them up 1 spot, and they should be around the Kansas City Chiefs. So since they beat them, I just put them in the top 3 for now. Maybe the Chiefs can come back and reclaim being a top 2 team. But I had to move the Rams up as well because offense, defense, this team is just sound across the board. The Seahawks take the biggest drop, moving from the number 4 spot down to the number 7 spot. But I think before I had them at number 5 in my preseason rankings, I want to say, or maybe number 6. So it's not too far if you compare it to preseason rankings versus now. And then the Steelers, they drop a spot after that loss against the Las Vegas Raiders. So that is our power rankings. Like I said, if you have any sort of thoughts, just please leave your thoughts down below. If you agree, disagree, I love debating this kind of sort of stuff. Let us know your opinions because we all know there's no such thing as a correct power rankings list. So I want to hear from you guys. What are your power rankings? You guys are continuing to comment down below in the chat. Oh, man, we don't have... I don't know. I guess people are working on this Wednesday. Not a lot of people tuning in, but we do have one person commenting right now. I'll go ahead and give you a shout out. Scar17S, you've been commenting on these live streams for a few weeks now. Tyson Williams or Mike Davis RB2. AB or Mike Evans flex full PPR. Tyson as RB2. And then I will always take Antonio Brown over Mike Evans. Call me crazy, I know, but I think that this offense is shifting in the favor of Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin as the 1 and 2 instead of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So I would choose Antonio Brown. I know that last week proved that it was Mike Evans was the guy. The week before it was Antonio Brown, but I think I have a little bit more trust in Antonio Brown. He actually had a red zone target in that game against the Atlanta Falcons, so do not overlook that aspect. You guys are continuing to leave your comments. And again, I'm going to have a dedicated segment where I'm going to answer all of these questions. But right now, what I wanted to talk about, because this kind of intrigued me, the Indianapolis Colts are 0-2 to start the season. Now, granted, it was against the Seahawks. Granted, it was against the Rams. 2 NFC West teams, which that division is on fire right now. 2 NFC West teams that are ranked inside of the top 8 in our power rankings. I get it. Tough schedule. But are the Colts in schedule? Let me rephrase that. Are the Colts in danger because of their schedule that they have coming up? I mean, this schedule that they have is taxing. It really is. And let me just read out the games that they have coming up. The Titans this weekend. Then you've got the Dolphins, the Ravens. Okay, so the Dolphins the week after, yeah, you have the possibility of beating them. But then you've got the Ravens, who are actually a very good team. Then you've got the Texans after that, which you, on paper, may say, okay, well, the Colts can beat the Texans. But after the performances that the Texans have been having against the Jaguars and the Browns the past couple of weeks, I mean, I don't know. I think the Texans have the potential of playing spoiler. This game might at least be closer than we may think. Then you got the 49ers, who are also a good team. The Titans, good team as well. The Jets, Jaguars, it gets a little bit easier with those two teams, which is a little bit of a break for the Colts. But then you've got the Bills and the Buccaneers. And then you've got the Texans again, who can be that annoying nuisance fly-on-the-wall spoiler. Then the Cardinals, we know that they're a very good team. And then you've also got the Raiders. These are just order of games that's coming up on the Indianapolis Colts schedule. And looking at that realistically, how many of these games can they win? Maybe 2 to 4 out of the teams that they have that I just read off. 2 to 4. Maybe beat the Texans once. Maybe beat the Dolphins. Maybe beat the Jets. Maybe beat the Jaguars. All right. But then you've got tough competition with the rest of the AFC South with the Tennessee Titans. And then you've got, like I said, the Ravens and the Cardinals and the Raiders. So this is going to be an uphill climb for the Indianapolis Colts. Can they turn their season around this year? I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and read off some stats that they have on offense and defense thus far. Offensive stats. They're 20th in yards per game with 345 yards per game, 19th in passing yards per game, 16th in rushing yards per game, 24th in points per game. All right, so their offense, not the greatest. Let's read off their defense because their defense is the bread and butter of this team. It's their strong point. Let's see how their defense has been faring the last couple of games. 18th in yards allowed, 24th in points allowed. They're pretty decent in turnovers. I'll give them that. And I will say that even though these numbers, 18th and 24th, seem bad, they did face some pretty tough competition with the Seahawks and the Rams. So you can expect and say in the comments, well, Hassan, yeah, this is tough competition. Of course, they're not going to do that well. But I just read off the schedule and told you that, okay, well, it doesn't get any easier. It's going to continue to stay tough. So if they're putting up top 20 numbers, 20th in the NFL in yards per allowed, 24th in the NFL in points per game, what makes you think that they're going to get any better against tougher competition, like maybe even the Buffalo Bills, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Baltimore Ravens? Is it going to be even better? And is the grass greener on the other side for the Indianapolis Colts? Well, I will say that for this season, my opinion, it might be a little bit tough for them to overcome that schedule. And if it plays out to where, on paper, if they lose as the underdog against the favorites, they're going to find themselves in the NFL draft getting a top 10 pick. They're going to miss out on the playoffs. Now, with that top 10 pick, what do you do with that? Do you go defense? Do you go offense? Is Carson Wentz your future? He's been hurt already. I mean, do you trust a guy like that? There's a lot of questions that the Colts and Chris Ballard and the general manager have to ask themselves. But I think despite the stats, the talent is still there on this team. And with you having a top 10 pick potentially next season, you can bolster that talent and just get better and better and get back to being that AFC wildcard team that you were last year. And if they get that top 10 pick, they're not that bad in salary cap either. I think they're top 5, top 10 in salary cap going into next year for 2022. You have a lot of decisions that you got to make that could actually help you out. So I say that to pretty much sum it up, that the Colts this year, it's going to be tough. And to ask the question or to answer the question, are the Colts in trouble? Yes, they are. The schedule is tough, but can it get better? Absolutely. In 2022, after you get your top 10 pick, after you sign your free agents with your salary cap, make your decision on Carson Wentz. What do you want to do with him? Do you want to keep him? Do you want to move on with him? I think it just gets a little bit better because the 2022 schedule, they're going to face the NFC North. Or the NFC East, excuse me. So it could get better since they face the NFC East. But, I mean, if the NFC East stays the way that it is, then yes, they have an easier schedule. If they improve, then, they might just be down the same road. But leave your thoughts, leave your comments. What do you feel like is going to happen with the Indianapolis Colts? Are they going to get better throughout the duration of the season? And if not, is 2022 a better outlook? And are they a playoff team moving forward, maybe in 2022? Leave your thoughts, leave your comments down below. We're going to take a quick break to tell you guys about Manscaped. Oh, yeah. Manscaped. Football season is upon us, and it's time that you put the PP back in PPR League with the sponsors of today's show, Manscaped. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming just launched a new Performance Package 4.0. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. I used that the other day. Beautiful. Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, Crop Reviver Toner, Performance Boxer Briefs, and a travel bag. This 4th-generation trimmer also features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce the grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor. A new multifunction on-off switch can engage a travel lock and is even waterproof. Don't neglect your balls like the Packers have been neglecting Aaron Rodgers this past offseason. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code T2F. This will help you tame that Troy Polamalu in your pants. Manscaped. Gotta love it. I don't really have anything else planned for today's show except the favorite part of everybody's day, fan questions. You guys ask your questions in the chats, and I'll do my best to get to all you guys. I think we have a little bit more time this time around to get to you guys, so I'm going to go ahead and answer you guys in the chat. All right, so we started from the top to the bottom. Let's just go down the list. Sandra Gonzalez, GM. Is that me? I'm the general manager of your fantasy football team? Wow. I love it. What's the salary? I ended up picking up Patterson, but would you start him over Anderson or Claypool? Flex/PPR. Okay, so Cordero Patterson. Good pickup. I don't think he's going to be a weekly starter. It's just matchup dependent. I want to wait and see how they utilize Patterson and Mike Davis first. But would you start him over Anderson or Claypool? Absolutely not. I think if I were to choose one of them to start, I would start Chase Claypool. I would. I mean, Robbie Anderson against the Houston Texans, you would think that's a good matchup. And it is. It is. But the lack of targets that Anderson has been getting with his week 1 performance being salvaged by that long 57-yard touchdown. Cool. 1 reception. And then last week against the New Orleans Saints, he didn't see more than 1 target, I think, until the third quarter. And his target share is pretty low right now. So if I had to trust anyone, it would be Chase Claypool, to answer your question. Thank you for calling me your general manager. Miguel calls me his coach. Miguel, are you in the chat? You are in the chat. Miguel, daily shout out. Dude, how you doing? Greetings, and hope you're doing well in Puerto Rico. I'll go ahead and answer your questions since I'm talking about you. You say hello, guys. Hello. Drop Michael Carter for Tony Pollard. I think you asked me that on Instagram, and I did not have a chance to respond. Yes. To answer your question, absolutely. Drop Michael Carter for Tony Pollard, and this is why Ezekiel Elliott on our draft rankings was a second-round talent, and I was getting crap for it. I was like, people are like, no, dude, Ezekiel Elliott's a top 6 pick. No, he's not. He's not. He's great. He's amazing, but Jerry Jones himself has come out and said that this is a very good thing that they have a running back by committee in Dallas. Tony Pollard is one of the most, if not the best, handcuff in fantasy football. If you have Ezekiel Elliott, you should have drafted Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard should have been drafted everywhere. No way he should have been undrafted. So if Tony Pollard is still available, I would pick that guy up because if Zeke goes down for an injury like we saw last year, it happened. Pollard had an amazing 20 to 25 point fantasy point game as a starting running back. Tony Pollard is very good. Brandon Gold, pretty solid list. I'd keep most within 1 or 2 spots. Oh, talk about the power rankings. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I think that the power rankings, like I said, there's no right or wrong list. This is just my opinion. But you also asked the questions. I traded Cooks and Carson for Kamara. Think I fleeced the guy, or do you think it was even? I think that Carson doesn't get enough credit as people like to give him. I think that he's actually a very good player. And the fact that he was drafted in the 4th round of fantasy football drafts is an absolute crime. Now, Kamara, he is a little bit on a decline as of late, so he was a buy low candidate. Brandon Cooks is a solid wide receiver 2/flex play. I think it's more even just because I think that the weight of Carson carries that trade. If you add in Cooks and he needed a receiver, I think it's a little bit more even in that aspect. Now, if Kamara goes back to what he was the last few years, having a 6-touchdown Christmas type of game, sure, then you won that trade. But I think at worst, it's even. So I don't think you lost at any point. Texas asks, which defense should I start, Cards or Panthers? I would go with the Carolina Panthers against the Houston Texans. Luis Figueroa, Tony Jones or Gainwell, PPR? It's got to be Gainwell. Gainwell's getting those touches. His touches are increasing. I think it was, he went from, or maybe his touches are staying the same, but Miles Sanders' touches are decreasing. I think this past game, it was Gainwell having 8 touches, Miles Sanders having 14. So, and Gainwell was available on that 2-point conversion attempt for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think they really like Kenneth Gainwell in that aspect. So I would start him over Tony Jones. Drums, please, Fab. I saw your comment, by the way. about you winning by a stat correction. Ooh, that hurt me. If you tune in to yesterday's show, you know that I was upset about losing by a stat correction by 0.34 points. Jared Goff fumbling the ball. No one sacking him counts as a sack, but whatever. Anyways, love this channel. Watching while I work right now. Boss is done making his rounds. Hey, way to be sneaky. That's awesome. Anyways, thoughts on Chase Edmonds or Brandon Cooks for my last flex spot? Chase Edmonds has been not amazing, but he's been good in PPR leagues, especially. I would start him. He's been a must start for us for like the last couple of weeks, and he wasn't bad. I wouldn't say that it was unsuccessful call for him to be a must start, but I think that Chase Edmonds provides a safe floor. And in this game, I think you got to roll in with Chase Edmonds and a run defense that isn't very good against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's what I would do. Chris Lucero, I'm going to try to get to most of you guys if I can. Good morning. Hey, who do you think will be a better RB to start, Tony Pollard or Kareem Hunt? Both supposed to have a good game this week. Yeah, Tony Pollard, I'm okay with starting him, but I want to see how they utilize Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard first. See if it's actually an every week thing, or if it was just a fluke against the LA Chargers. Kareem Hunt, like I mentioned in the starts and sits video, is a sleeper. Got to think outside the box. He's not a running back. He's a wide receiver. And the Bears have trouble stopping the pass. So with Jarvis Landry being out, with Odell Beckham potentially being out as well, it's Austin Hooper and Kareem Hunt this week. That's it for the passing game. And Mayfield might only throw it for 20, 25 times, but who do you think is going to get the majority of those targets? Those two guys, Kareem Hunt. YME258, Colts in my fantasy, both in trouble at 0-2. Ooh, I'm sorry, dude. Hey, maybe it'll turn around. I have faith in you. It will. Just keep on tuning into this channel and leaving your comments, and people will help you out. This is from Jack Quaranto, who also tunes in while he's at work. Guys, don't get fired. Don't get fired. But also tune into my stuff. So if you need to risk getting fired, then sure, get fired. But do I trade Tyreek and Swift for Zeke, Gibson, and Jamar Chase? Ooh. I have Debo, Galladay, Diggs, Waddle, Tyrell, and my RBs are Tyson, Zach Moss, Elijah Mitchell, and Chase Edmonds. Okay, so you need some running backs, and you can get Zeke and Gibson? Please do it. Please do it. And Jamar Chase, who could be a solid wide receiver 2 start every single week. What's the worst you lose? Swift in the passing game? Okay, I'm willing to lose that. Tyreek Hill? Hey, I mean, teams saw that they could cover him and double team him and shut him down. I don't think that's going to happen every week. But if Tyreek Hill, this is what I say about trades. Losing Tyreek Hill, losing Swift is going to suck. But my philosophy with trades is one step back for 2 steps forward. You are taking 5 steps forward with that trade. Zeke and Gibson, running backs, so valuable. Do it. Do it. All right. Dak is your quarterback. Hey, you're in a good spot. Let's answer a couple more. Terrian Samuel, Claypool or Pittman rest of the season, and Ravens defense or Panthers defense rest of the season. Rest of the season, it's got to be Claypool. I mean, I don't think that there's any doubt that Pittman isn't a bad player. I think that he's a very good player, but the Colts offense, I just had a whole segment talking about the Indianapolis Colts. They're kind of hard to trust, and their offensive stats are not the greatest. So the Steelers, they have some struggles on offense as well, yes, but I would go ahead and lean in towards Claypool. I have not seen any injury updates yet on Deontay Johnson, unless I missed something. I know that he hurt his knee, so if anyone knows any information on that, go ahead and leave your comments. Also, I got a trade offer. I'm going to ask you guys because I want your opinions on this, and leave it in the chats while I'm answering your guys' questions. I want to see your opinions. I have James Robinson, who I've been talking about is a buy low candidate right now. I have James Robinson. Someone offered me Myles Gaskin and Mark Andrews for James Robinson. I have Jonnu Smith as my tight end. So I'm looking to improve my tight ends. I don't necessarily think that Jonnu Smith is bad and I can roll with them, but What is your opinion? Do you think it's worth trading away James Robinson for Myles Gaskin and Mark Andrews? Leave your thoughts. Kenny Wynn. Hey, T2F, who's your fantasy MVP in your opinion? Right now, it's got to be Kyler Murray. I don't think that there's any doubt about that. Other than that, I mean, non-quarterback, you want to look at Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was top 12 in our draft rankings for a reason, and now he's proven that he's a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. So as far as fantasy football goes, so I would say either Kyler Murray or Cooper Kupp so far in fantasy football. I just got someone signing up for Prediction Strike, which is the stock market of the NFL. So make sure you guys sign up. Click the link in the description so you guys can get start investing in players and getting shares, and you get a free share if you sign up as well. Gary Santos, which wide receiver A-Rob and Gaskin can get me? Which wide receiver? I mean, I don't think that either one of them is really a sell right now. I would say they're more of a hold and see what happens, but I'm not too keen on them being a buy low candidate. Which wide receiver can you get? I mean, if you can package both of them for someone like CeeDee Lamb, given that you have wide receiver depth. Hassan English. But I would say that A-Rob and Gaskin, their value right now is just incredibly low that I would wait. I would wait on it until they have a good game, and then you could trade them away. So I would just wait on it just now, and then we'll revisit that question next week. Spurs 72 giving some opinions. No to Gaskin, average 11 carries per game. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I know that the targets are there. It's a half PPR league. I don't know. Gaskin was just it was just complimentary. It was more so Mark Andrews I was thinking about, so I don't know. I'll think about it. Trade Woods for Brandon Cooks. If you can, I think they're kind of in the same tier, just because Woods has the upside of that offense, and Cooks, I mean, very underrated receiver. Although Davis Mills does hurt his value. So if you have Woods right now, I would just keep him unless he does absolutely bad. Then you can revisit that question. But for now, keep Woods. A couple more, then I got to sign off. Brandon Gold saying, I think it's good. Pretty even RB swap, and you get an improved tight end. Okay, so we've got another comment on that. I mean, I think James Robinson, he's more inclined to get more touches than Myles Gaskin. Kind of disappointing that he hasn't at this point. But we'll see. We'll see. Thank you for your opinion. Would you start Antonio Brown or Devontae Smith? I have Devontae Smith as a must-start this week against the Dallas Cowboys, which is expected to be a high-scoring game, and I am going to roll with Devontae Smith. Antonio Brown, I still like him over maybe someone like Mike Evans. I still like him in that offense, but there's just way too many mouths to feed with Tampa Bay. The LA Rams defense is pretty good. You got Jalen Ramsey right there in the secondary. Some underrated players in the secondary as well. I would roll with Devontae Smith in this game against the Dallas Cowboys. Clap Nuts. I got to take this question just because I love your name. Clap Nuts. Do you think Jacoby and Tim Patrick can get me Brandon Cooks? Yeah, I do. I don't think that. No, maybe I would do that trade. I would do that trade. If you can do that trade, yeah, I would do it. If someone absolutely needs wide receiver depth, I would do it. Do it. With all that said, that's going to reach us to the end of our episode. With all that said, without further ado, oh my gosh, the most annoying line in all of YouTube history. But we appreciate you guys joining us for this episode of Time to Football. Please feel free to leave any sort of comments in the comment section of this video, the fantasy football starts and sits videos that we come out with. If you have any more questions, I'll try my best to respond to you guys. Join our Discord server as well. We'll try to get you guys in there as well. Thank you guys for joining us for this episode. Without further ado, remember, without further ado, take care.